Hi, my name is Solomon Omeru, and with me is
Edidion Okonkwo.
And together we're going to be hosting this segment of the Afrocentrist podcast titled Discovery Tuesday.
It's going to be a world of discovery where we'll have fun hanging out together as we bring you insights that will inform and educate you on topical issues bordering on relationship. This will help you discover yourself and enable you make better choices as you go through your unique life experiences.
Coming to you every Tuesday at 4 p.m. GST.
Remember, self-discovery is the first step to true freedom. See you there.
Good day. Thank you so very much for joining us today on this particular episode of the Afrocentric podcast. This is Discovery Tuesday, where we talk about all things relationship. Discovery Tuesday is a segment on the Afrocentric podcast that is centered on relationships. So we discuss on varied issues that needs to be trashed. It's going to be such an exciting conversation. Why? Because we're talking about a particular topic and many people have different points of view. And over the years, we've had different thoughts and different narratives out there. But what we want to do is set the record straight, back to the roots to get the real meaning of what we're all about. So today, we're going to be talking about what does leadership in relationship mean? Men's point of view, the men's point of view, because like we said in the last episode, the women they have a lot of thoughts and they are putting their thoughts out there, but we don't have so many men putting out their thoughts out there, and that's what we want to do because we need to have a balanced view of this particular topic. So what does leadership mean in a relationship? And with me today, I have a gentleman here with me, and he's no other than Mr. Kingsley Azubike. Mr. Kingsley Azubike is a banker with over 15 years working experience, in branch operations and retail compliance. And he's done such a great work in the banking sector. He's not just a banker, he's happily married, a husband of one wife, and has 3 lovely children. Thank you very much once again for coming on board today, Mr. Azubike. I really do appreciate you granting us this privilege.
Thank you. The pleasure is all mine.
Mm-hmm. All right. So what we do actually on the Afrocentric podcast is project the voices of renowned people of African descent, because we want to speak about the things that matter to us, and we want to change the narrative out there on different aspects of life. So on Discovery Tuesday, we focus on relationship. So what does leadership in relationship mean? Now we're talking about a union, a partnership, a marriage, because that's where we can actually put it in context.
Marriage, I think. Okay, it's good you made the context very narrow and not broad, because I wanted to start with the definition of relationship, because relationship is the connection between people. The relationship is the connection of people by blood or marriage. So it's good that we made the context marriage, so it will be clear and very unambiguous. We'll start from the first relationship we've had. Like I always tell people, we have to go back to the roots. The first relationship that we know of, especially when we make reference to the Bible, was Adam and Eve.
Okay.
In the Bible, after creation, God created Adam in the image of God and created Eve from the ribs of Adam.
Okay.
And the Bible made it clear that the man is the leader, is the head of the family, and the man should love the woman as Christ loved the church, and the woman should be loyal and submit to the man. But unfortunately, in today's world, we have lost our roots, we have lost our culture, we have lost our connection to the Creator. So life is very ambiguous. Life is very unclear. People do as they please. A lot of social paradigms have been created and have confused the common man and the common woman, and will now behave as we like. From the reference to the Bible, I think leadership in a marriage, it's divided basically into 3. The first one is spiritual leadership, financial leadership, and physical leadership. When you read the Bible is very clear that the man should love the woman as Christ loved the church. That means the man should be ready to sacrifice his life for the woman and the family. You understand? The man should be ready to do what it takes to protect the woman. The man should lead the family and the woman spiritually. The man is the connection between the woman and the family to God. And these days I hear a lot of people say they pray and their prayers are not answered. It's because we are not obeying the laws and the principles of God. We have gone astray from his statutes and his commandments. He commanded to be very similar to what was created in the garden, and is directly connected to God. And when I mean leadership, I don't mean the understanding of leadership. I don't mean bossy leadership. I don't mean senseless loyalty, because we have a lot of families where the man, just orders the woman around. No, it's not senseless loyalty. No, it's not a relationship that is parasitic. It's not a relationship that is bossy. Leadership leads by example. The man is supposed to spiritually lead the family, lead them to God. You understand? He should understand his relationship with his creator. He should understand his role perfectly. Then he should lead the family in the direction and in the commandments of the creator. So in that way, then he understands who he is, he understands his role in the family, and it is easy for the wife and for the family members to follow him. Unfortunately, what we have today is boss. There's a difference between a leader and a boss.
Okay.
You just roll out the orders, tell the woman, I want it this way, without giving the woman the reasons why the decisions are being taken.
Okay.
Leadership explains. It is do as I do. It is not do as I say. You explain the reason for your actions to the woman. You buy in the woman's deep understanding of your principles of life. You understand? Even, like I tell people, even before marriage, you must understand what you stand for, who you are, even before marriage. And these days, the devil has come in with love. I call it lust, because I say love is sacrifice. If you read the Bible, you understand that love is sacrifice. There's no difference between love and sacrifice. That is why Christ, who loved us, sacrificed his life for us, so that we shall be redeemed. But unfortunately, the devil has sold lust to the world as love. And love is now about how you look and what you have. And so that is why leadership is now ambiguous. That's why men are finding it difficult to control their wives. Men are finding it difficult to lead their wives. Like, control is not the best word. I think lead is the best word. To lead them into life, to lead them into salvation, to lead them into prosperity, to lead them into living the right way. So leadership is spiritual. I've talked about the spiritual. The man needs to be the spiritual head of the house. He needs to ensure that the family and the wife is connected to the Creator through his leadership, through his understanding of the word, through his understanding of his role as a father. Then we've now come to finance. The Bible said that a man that cannot feed his family is worse than, an infidel. Yes. So you must understand your financial role as a man in the house. You should provide for your family. At least the basics: shelter, food, clothing, and security. Those are the basics. So a man should understand his financial role. And these days, a lot of people don't understand that it's their responsibility to take care of family. That is why marriages are breaking down left, right, and center, because men are not taught to be men. So you have a financial responsibility to lead your family. Yes, the woman might contribute here and there, but the primary responsibility of finance falls on the man. That he is the leader. He must lead the finances of the house. He must organize the finances. And it doesn't mean that you have to be a millionaire to lead your home financial. You have to be honest about your earnings with your wife from the beginning of the relationship, of the marriage. This is who I am. This is why I am. This is what I can offer. So the woman understands what she's going into, and you can sit down and plan together and grow together. So the man is also the financial leader. Then the man is the physical leader of the house. And when you come under the shade of physical leadership, it comes to security. You understand? It comes to giving directions. It comes to love, because love is a part of leadership. You understand? The man must love the wife.
Mm-hmm.
The man must love the family. The man must protect the family. The man must direct the family. The man must be in the forefront. He must secure your family. He must give your family a sense of confidence and security. He must lead from the front. Unfortunately, it's not what we have today, but that is the right thing to do. You understand? And it's not too difficult. Like I tell people, it's not too difficult. It's all about honesty, you understand, and hard work.
All right, so I hear you on that. I mean, you said so many points, and I just want to reiterate some of them. You talked about leadership has to be in 3 different forms. You have the spiritual leadership, the financial leadership, and the physical leadership. Leadership is all about what you do, not exactly what you say. So there has to be, you have to lead by taking action and showing it. So you talked about spiritual leadership you talked about the difference between being a leader and being a boss. There are 2 different things. A leader, it's one who explains what direction in which he or she is going, doesn't just boss around and give instructions and do not listen to the other person. So as a leader, you must be able to you'll be able to sell your vision to your wife so that she could buy it in and understand exactly what you stand for and what you do. Talked about that spiritual leadership. Also, a man has to be, being as a spiritual leader, has to lead the family in the way of love, in the way of God, which is actually where you actually mentioned that love is all about sacrifice. So you went ahead to talk about a man providing financial, leadership, which means taking responsibility to lead your family, to provide shelter, clothing, and just the basic needs, and food, because you mentioned that. So you talked about, being financially responsible means that you don't need to earn so much, but you just need to be honest and open about your earnings and, have a goal and share that goal with your supportive spouse. You now talked about physical leadership. We talked about providing security, direction, providing love, protection, and a sense of direction. Lead from, the front, not behind. Now there's a whole lot of conversation around it, but I want to start with practical leadership. Now, just like you said, some men these days, let me not generalize, but we have seen instances where men in physical form, they don't really have an understanding of what it means to lead. And because they are not trained, you're not born a leader, you're trained to be a leader. We understand that. And because they lack that basic training, we find out that, we have a situation in our society where the women are fighting. Some of them are taking, the front lead in the home. They are providing for the home. They are taking care of the kids. They are just kind of overwhelmed. We've seen instances like that. And it's almost like it's getting on the increase every day, where we see women cater for their families. And it ought not to be so. So for a woman who is laden with such responsibility, it's, in my earlier episode, we talked about what a man needs from a woman, and my guest talked about honor and respect as very vital for him as a man's need. But then again, how then as a woman would you be able to, accord the respect and honor that is required as a man when you have to take leadership? Some men could be so docile that even like spiritual leadership, some of them obviously they're not taking the lead in the home in that aspect, financially the same thing, and they don't seem to get the sense of direction, because as a woman you feel overburdened, you feel overwhelmed when you have to make decisions. And it is women want on the spot, we're emotional. We know there are some men that don't have to logically reason through an idea before giving, his own take on that. And most women feel overwhelmed. So what really could be, if you're supposed to advise a woman who is under that pressure, living with a man who is not taking the lead, what do you how do you expect the woman to go about it in such a way that it's not disrespectful and also gives the man the room to come up? Because the truth about the matter is that no woman feels excited leading, because it's not a thing to lead. So, does it mean that when a man, I'm asking so many questions, right? I think I should just stick with one.
I'm trying to take it down.
Okay,
Oh
all
no,
right.
no, I'm trying to take your questions down so that I'll actually answer them one after the other.
All right, better. So now,
I'll start. Okay. Continue, please.
yeah, so
Continue, please.
yes, so for that situation where so if a man is not physically, because we understand that life happens, the man could lose his job or something and he's not in a position to lead financially. What can he still do in order to still show leadership? Because it's in that home, in that family, some men always say that women want men to lead, but then again, they don't want to take instructions, they don't want to take direction from the man. They are still trying to influence things, because influencing things through other means in order to have their way, so there's a whole lot of thoughts concerning that. So I want to hear what you have to say about that.
Okay, I will start from the beginning. I think the mistake starts from the beginning a lot of times. Marriage is one of the most important decisions you make in your life.
Okay.
And it's not something that you just jump into. A lot of people jump into marriage emotionally without proper analysis. In our culture, I'm an Igbo man, I'm from Anambra State. And in our culture, we have what we call age wese. Before you get married, you do due diligence, you perform due diligence on the man's family. You understand, you explore compatibility, you look at their cultures. If you're compatible, you try to have an understanding to a certain extent of who the person is, where he comes from, who his parents are. So you'll be able to, to a certain extent, make a judge of character of some sort of who you are going to marry. You understand? With the help of your own parents. But these days, people jump into marriage emotionally without making logical, justifications and conclusions. So it leads to a lot of problems, because emotions only last for a few years and the reality will come to book. So for people already married, for people not married, I believe first and foremost, you must be prayerful. Number one, before you go into marriage, you must pray and fast and ask the Almighty to give you a life partner that you live with. Then you must do your own personal due diligence. You must also allow your parents to do their due diligence. You must understand the person by talking, by body language, a little bit of investigative journalism, as friend will call it. You have to find out more. What kind of lifestyle does he live? Who are his friends? They say, show me your friend and I'll partially show you who you are. So understand the person. Get your information right before you jump into, because marriage is a lifetime commitment. When you try to break it in the middle, it's always very painful, very bitter. And after expending so much effort to get married, you just live in the middle. It always leaves bitter people. So I usually don't like divorces, because most people come out of divorce very bitter. So I try and get it right the first time. That's the advice. So do your proper due diligence before you go into marriage. For those that are married, for those that are already married, it's very complicated. It is very, very complicated, because now a lot of factors have to be taken into consideration. Men are egocentric. I feel egocentric.
Yes.
We have egos. And we believe that we are supposed to be leaders, but leadership is not verbal. It's actionable. It's not by claiming as the leader of the house. We have to take responsibility. And a lot of men are verbal leaders. You understand? A lot of men, they don't even understand. A lot of people do not understand what it means to be a man. They believe that being a man is more by your natural and physical disposition. But it's much more than that. It requires understanding who you are, understanding what your responsibility is. You understand? So a lot of men do not understand. So first and foremost, the woman has to do a deep analysis of who the husband is.
Okay.
It's not a one shoe fits all or one size fits all solution. You need to sit down and do an analysis of who your husband is. Where are the deficiencies? You understand? What is it he's not there? Is he a lazy man that doesn't like to make efforts to earn money? Or is he an unlucky man that for some reasons he has been trying so hard and the money is not coming in?
Yeah.
Because there are two different solutions. You understand? Is he a man that is not affectionate? You understand? Is he a man that doesn't even understand what he's supposed to do? Because a lot of men are of age but really do not understand what it means to be a man. So you need to really do your due diligence as a woman if you really want to find a solution. Because these days we just get angry and walk away, it's calm. No, it doesn't solve any problem, because the next person might also be a scum. So You need to do your due diligence and understand what the problem is.
Okay.
When you understand the problem, then they said a problem understood is a problem half solved. So when you understand the problem, you now know, okay, now we're looking for solution. He's a lazy man that doesn't like to work.
Exactly.
What's the solution to the lazy man that doesn't like to work? You understand? Now you have to, when it comes to being lazy, a couple of young men now are purely lazy. They don't want to do anything. So now that one takes a lot of work. You cannot do it alone as a wife. You must involve the parents. You must look for people who he looks up to that can draw him out of the doldrums, because it's not something, it's difficult for a wife to do. It's not a problem that is solved by being insolent or by fighting or by quarreling. No. You have to look for people he looks up to. You have to bring in the parents and say, see, look at the problem I have observed. How do we get this man out of this mindset? Because it's a mindset. It's actually a mindset. It's a psychological problem. And you know, when you've done something for a long time, and it becomes like, it's not something the wife alone can do. You have to bring in people he looks up to. Everybody has who you respect and who you listen to. You have to bring up the father, the male. The man must have a male figure he respects. Put him down and tell him, no, you can't live like this. This is wrong. You understand? And when you see that he has mentally come out of it, you have to support him to find something to do. It's very difficult. But in the long run, it's usually the best thing to do. You understand? So it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. So if the problem is maybe sexual immorality, which is very common now, you understand? Like I said, you must do due diligence before marriage. But a lot of women don't do due diligence because these are not habits that are just formed after marriage. These are habits that the husband has been doing even before marriage. So if you are used to having multiple partners before marriage, it's most likely that you're going to have multiple partners after marriage. You understand? So a lot of people do not look at it. They just assume that once the guy gets married, he's going to be honest. No, it's a habit. Habits are very difficult to break. So if you know this is sexual immorality, you must have that conversation with him politely. Most of the time, if you have a polite conversation, every human being has a soft heart, no matter the armor we show sometimes. Even when we don't agree in front of our wives, go back and think about it. And this woman has said the truth. Then, like I said before, some of these problems are not problems a woman can solve alone. You know, in Igbo land, one person does not get married. A community marries a woman. The essence is when there are issues like this, you look for strong men and women in the community to call that person to order. Call the man to order. And tell the man that you are not living as you're supposed to live. Look at and you know, a lot of people do things without knowing the consequences of their actions. Some is just a bad habit formed during your youth days or when you are a young man. They do not understand the consequences of breaking trust in marriages. They do not understand the consequences of, trust. Trust is one of the most important things in marriage is trust. Once the man has broken that trust, it takes a lot for the woman to go back. And a lot of men do not understand it. They don't understand that trust is more important than money in a relationship. Because when the woman trusts you, even without money, she'll stick by you.
Sure.
Because she can beat her hands on her chest and say, this man is a loyal, honest, hardworking man. He has not just been lucky. But when there is no trust in that relationship, what happens is that everybody just does as he pleases. So people need to be, educated, enlightened on the importance of certain behavioral patterns. Understand their role in marriage. Understand that marriage is not just giving birth and having children. Marriage is a step-by-step process. A man has his full responsibility and a woman also has her responsibility. If both parties understand their responsibility, you find that a marriage is not always as difficult as people make it.
Sure.
So when there are issues You understand? The woman has to sit down and analyze the issue, understand the problem. When you have understood the problem, then you know if it's a communication problem where you need to sit down and talk to your husband, or you know when the problem is you won't be able to solve it, where you have to bring, and when you're bringing third parties, you have to be very careful because sometimes it does backfire. So when you're bringing third parties, you have to be sure that you have tried as much as possible to engage your husband, communicate with him, and all forms of communication have failed. Sorry for that. And in communication, we have to be very careful.
Okay.
Like I tell people, men are naturally egocentric people. We get we get angry when the communication is disrespectful. When a wife is communicating to the husband, you have to be careful with your choice of words. You have to be careful not to be insolent, and you have to try as much as possible to communicate in a conducive or jovial manner. The most important thing is passing your point across.
Yes.
That's the most important thing. Then you understand what you're saying. Then you understand that you are saying it from a position of love, not from a position of animosity. Because most times these informations are passed from a position of animosity and anger. And like I've learned, anger does not solve any problem. What anger does is just complicates issues. So if we are angry, do not speak. Calm down, analyze the issue, and engage your husband in love. When you do that, a lot of men would understand. Yes, a small fraction might not, but the majority of men will understand. Even when we don't agree, we'll go back to ourselves and say, yes, this woman has made a valid point.
Yeah.
I cannot continue living this way. I've done something wrong. Understand? But when the woman comes out, chest out, we are equals in this house. Beats her hands on the table. I said, you must do it my way. She achieves little or nothing.
Okay, yeah.
And whether we like it or not, a woman cannot be a man and a man cannot be a woman.
Yeah.
We are created differently. Women are feminine, they are softer. You understand? They have skills that we do. Women can multitask to a certain level that men cannot even try, cannot even dream of. There are skills that are naturally given to women. But sometimes women need their feminism and try to be masculine. And when they try to do it, it backfires.
Okay.
So a woman should understand. That's why I said understanding your role in the house is very, very important. Okay. Once you understand it, you find out that a lot of problems are easily solved when you understand your role in the family. The woman is in the neck, and most of the times it's the neck that directs the head.
Exactly.
Some heads are just
figureheads.
It's just for you to know how to. Yes. No heads, but the woman actually is the neck that directs the head. But it's just for you to understand how to play your role and not trying to be a man or being masculine. And once a woman loses that femininity, a lot of women have lost it. When you lose your femininity, you become a man. And once you become a man, it's two men in the house. And once there are two men in the house fighting for power, there will always be blows. Okay. Either verbal or physical. So for women who have these challenges, we should strive as much as possible to analyze the problem, understand the problem, and find a lasting solution to the problem.
Okay. All right.
And for the men, because that's what I always tell the men, and for the men, I will always say, these days we encourage a lot of single parenthood. And I'm totally against it. I'm always totally against single parenthood. The reason being that a man needs a masculine influence in his life. And most of the times, the father is the masculine influence. The boy child looks up to the father. And most times, when the boy child does not have a father, there is something missing. Aside widows who are generally protected by the Almighty, most of the time when you look at men that are brought up by single mothers, you find out that, they are always a little bit effeminate because they do not have a father figure.
Okay.
So it's important for a man to have both the mother's love and the father's direction.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay.
But unfortunately, sometimes these days, even the father who is at home is not at home.
Exactly. Exactly.
So it's a two-way thing. The father must understand his role. We need to do a lot more to educate the young men before marriage to understand their role in the family. It's not about having money, because these days it's not about having money. Once you have money, you're ready. No, it is much more to fatherliness, to fatherhood, than just providing financially.
Exactly. That brings me
That's
to
much
the next
more
question.
than just providing financially.
Yeah, that brings me to, because I wanted to find out, because we find out that in some homes the fathers are physically present, but their presence isn't felt. We have docile parents fathers who just feel that I go out there, I hustle, I bring in the money, and that's where my rule ends. Talking about disciplining the child, talking about finding out how the child is faring in school, being involved in the academics, being involved in in their relationship and the things that go around them. They just feel it's the mother's role. Now, where those in leadership, because I understand leadership is like setting the tone. Are there supposed to be values, guidelines, family rules, regulations? Because just like in an enterprise, in a workplace, like you work in a bank, there are rules. There are rules, there are guidelines, there are things that are not. Is it part of leadership to set the tone, to organize? Because then again, it's going to be a two-in-one question. We understand the role that play responsibilities, because we understand that some people, they are born choleric, they are born leaders. They have that leadership instinct in them, and they're able to to be around, take charge of things. Then there are some men who are naturally like phlegmatics. Because this temperament, they influence to a very large extent, the way their behavior and the attitude in which people take up their responsibilities. Now, so how does a man who is a little bit laid back because of his temperament, and obviously probably some of these last borns, a man who is a last born has this tendency to have people do things for him and order him around, and probably gets married to a firstborn child who is a lady. There's bound to be that. So how do we find that balance, that healthy balance, where even though your temperament probably is not majorly, or how do they call it, not dominantly a choleric, that naturally exhibit leadership traits, how do you manage it? What's the thin line as a man who is actually deficient in that aspect, because in leadership, because of his temperament? How do you manage that, and how do you show up as the man in the house who is supposed to provide, who is supposed to give guidance, give direction, institute laws and orders and all that? So please let me hear your take on that.
You cannot give what you don't have. And that is life.
So what do we do?
You cannot give what you don't.
Is there no place of learning, or training, or mentoring?
There has been an attack on the family unit in the past 15, 20 years. If you notice that the family unit has been partially destroyed by the rat race, the mindset that we must acquire and acquire and acquire and acquire. So, everybody has, prioritized acquiring money, you understand, over being father. The men have prioritized acquiring money over being father, you understand? And our social values have deteriorated in the past 15, 20 years. You understand? The family values are practically non-existent. You understand? So these are things that have affected the family. And once the family is affected, the man is being molded by the family.
Yeah.
You understand? So when the family, the father who is supposed to mold his son goes out in the morning and comes back by 10 p.m., when does he mold the son? When the father who is supposed to take time and understand direction in his family is more interested in making the next billion in the rat race of acquisition. You understand? And living in a palatial mansion. He believes that once he has provided, for the family, he has done all his bit. But life is much, much, much more than that. So now, like I tell people, we need to understand our problems. It's not, if you don't understand where you're coming from, you can't understand where you're going to. We have to go back to where we are 20, 40, 50 years ago and go back to our communal and family values, our cultural values. You understand? When before you become a man, you go through the process of manhood. You understand? Yeah. You go through the process of manhood. You are taught to be a man. You understand the principles of being a man, and which is the responsibility of not only your father, but your father, your uncles, your grandfather, and every other male person in the community. But unfortunately, we live a very singular life now. Yes. You understand? You probably live in Lekki or you live in Dubai and you don't have any relative around you. There's nobody to guide you. You have a challenge. So we have destroyed our family, our extended family values. And life has become much more difficult for us. We have acquired the wealth, destroyed our values, and now it's difficult for us to manage our family. So first and foremost, we need to go back to where we're coming from. Understand that our forefathers had a communal value and moral standards. And, in my place, they said one person does not bring up a child. The community brings up a child. Okay. That means the community makes an input into the well-being of that child. So your experience is gathered from every elder around you and not just your father. But today, the father is not around. The elders are not around. Even the mother is not even busy. So it's the problem. So imagine a child that grows up in that distorted family will find it very difficult to become a man. So it comes from the foundation. But when you have found yourself in that situation as a woman, when the man has refused to take responsibility, to lead guidance, it's communication. I always tell people, number one, we have to be very prayerful. We have to communicate with our husbands. We have to discuss with them politely. Look at our challenges. I'm looking at my son. He's becoming effeminate. He doesn't understand what it means to be a man. You understand? We need to do something about it. What can we do about it? What are your suggestions? Because most times when you go to dominate the discussion, you have a problem. What are your suggestions? What do you think we can do? Sometimes what we used to do in Igbo is that the man can say, okay, I'm taking this child to my brother, who is the first child, and the disciplinarian. He should go there and stay 2 years. It's a simple solution. He goes there and he sees a different type of leadership of his father. He learns a lot of things. Initially, it might be difficult for him to adapt. He might term the uncle as wicked. But 2-3 years down the line, he'll find out that the wickedness was to his advantage. So now we need to sit down and communicate. Women need to sit down and communicate. But as I tell every wife, you have to be close to your father-in-law and your mother-in-law. Forget what the devil is saying now. No, you have to be close to them. Because when there are issues, these are the people that will come to your aid. These are the people that will make inputs into solutions. These are the people that can call your husband and say, no, you are going wrong. Come back and go right. So communication is key to solving leadership problems in a family. That's the first step. You must sit down. Like I said, you must analyze the situation and create a communication channel with your husband. Talk to him as a human being. That's the first step. When you finish communication and it now does not work, then you might be forced to bring in third parties that he respects politely to come and sit him down and talk to him. And most times, by the time you go through this first and second step, you will notice improvement in your family. Violence, nagging never solves the problem. Communication is key. Then you must be prayerful. I always tell people, prayer works like magic. prayer works like magic. Like, I don't believe in people praying for you. I believe in you praying for yourself. Yes, I don't believe in. Pray for yourself. Read the Bible and pray for yourself. It's not that difficult. Then you communicate with your husband from a position of love. Prepare a good meal for your husband. He eats, he's happy. Chip in. Look at. How do you think we can solve this problem? Every logical thinking man will tell you, okay, I've also noticed it though. Why don't we do it this way? Why don't we do that? You can make, sensible, logical arguments from a position of love, not from a position of animosity. And he will listen to you, and you put your heads together and find a solution. And these problems are not problems that get solved overnight.
Okay.
If your husband is not someone that takes leadership, most times I tell women that they're the major cause of their problems, because right now every woman is looking for a rich man. Wealth is the number one priority while choosing a spouse. Yes. And if life is about demand and supply,
Okay.
the demand determines the supply most of the time. So now the women are demanding for rich husbands, so the men are striving to make money any which way. But this quest over ambitiousness to acquire has its detriment. It's a social problem that emanates from, like I said, demand and supply, from our social deterioration of our social values. You understand? Prioritizing of things that are not so important over the core important factors of marriage. So we need to reevaluate ourselves as human beings. We need to reevaluate our values. We need to be careful at the point of marriage to ensure that we make the right choice. We need to understand our spouses. We need to also ensure that even when there are crises, we try as much as possible to communicate with love.
Okay.
And when all lines of communication have failed, we look for, father figures and figures who our husbands respect so much to intervene from a position of love and not from a position of animosity. By the time we take these steps, I believe that most of our problems, marital problems and leadership problems in the family, will be solved.
Okay, so I hear you a lot about, seeking out for help from external sources, family, maybe the church or somewhere around. Then my challenge is that we have from experience and from, I counsel with people. Most times when there's an issue in marriage, men will literally tell their wives they don't want the matter to go out of the house. They don't want anybody to get involved in the matter. They don't want to listen to a third party. They don't even want to. As a matter of fact, counseling is part of it. Most men don't like turning up for counseling. When he has to go to counsel to meet to see a counselor, for them it's like, what do you mean? It's almost as though that's a slight on their image and
telling them out.
Telling them out, exactly. Why are you exposing me? That whole ego thing is also come say now. Okay, usually in a communal living where we had families and all that, but in a situation where you're living in your family, where you have people that can talk to him, you're in a strange land where their values aren't the same. That's very common because it's mostly in Africa where you have people, family intervene in marriage relationship, but out there you don't. That's not common. That's not common. As a matter of fact, they live far away from their homes, and even if they live close, it's not their business, as it were. Parents are not allowed to interfere in their children's marriages and all that. So in that situation, we're trying to be real, because these are real situations that people are dealing with every day. When we don't have the support of a third party or family member, and leadership is clearly lacking in our home. So what can be done? Because it's most times women are the ones that literally take the problems outside, and in the situation where you don't have those options, around those options that culture actually provides. How then do you manage that? Because you're dealing with that entity, the other members of the immediate family, right now. Because I believe that it's the same thing that as if it was hands down, passed down, just the way our parents, the older generation, if these things were handed over, handed down, like you said, we take family wherever we go, but your upbringing actually shows up with you wherever you show up, so if these things weren't passed down, we find it hard to replicate that. That's why we're having absentee parents and all that. And you wonder, what do we stand to do in this age and time where we don't have this cultural, advantage, to help and assist when there are issues like that?
Well, I think that always we choose not to take advantage of them. That your parents just stay with you don't mean that your parents cannot talk to you. You understand? But most times we become a bit more global than ourselves. That's the right word. My father would say then we become more European than Europeans.
Europeans themselves.
Your parents don't have to live with you. You understand? And it mustn't be your parents. The truth about the matter, because when you have, taken advantage of all lines of communication, you've done everything you're supposed to do and it's not working. You understand? You have to do something different. You can't do the same thing and expect same thing every time and expect a different reaction. You must do something different. Understand? And bringing in third parties is something you need to think deeply about. It's not something. It shouldn't be your first option. It should be your last option.
Okay.
So when you have tried everything,
I get you on that.
You have discussed with your husband. You have showed love. You have shown concern, and it's not working. Rather than walking away from the relationship, which I never support, it's better to bring in trusted third parties.
Okay.
It mustn't be your parents. Everybody, like I have, my wife knows who I respect. When you love your wife and communicate your life, from communication, she knows who you respect. You understand? She knows people of integrity, people you have, people you have a lot of respect for. So when these things happen, you must think about it, consider it. Then when you've tried everything you're supposed to try, you can't give up. I don't believe in giving up. It's better for your husband to be angry that you took it to a third party, but let the third party talk sense into your husband.
Okay.
But it must be a third party with wisdom, a third party that is mature, and a third party that your husband respects.
Okay.
It must be someone who he truly respects.
Okay.
So it's not an option that you take first. No, it's a last option. When you have, you've done everything you're supposed to do. You have tried to talk to him. You have tried to talk sense to him. You have tried to show love. You have put in a lot of work, and it's still not working.
Okay.
So you have to look for trusted third parties.
Okay.
It's not always wise to bring third parties into marriage, but sometimes it works.
Okay.
I myself have had to help some of my friends who I'm very close to, and they're having challenges with their wives. And their wives will call me and say, look at. And I, as a mature person, will have to look for ways to communicate it to my friend.
Oh.
You understand?
Yes.
And tell my friend, no. This thing, you're not doing it well. I know this is wrong. You understand?
Okay.
This is wrong. And most of the time, when he's a trusted person, you don't go out and start blaming the person. No, you look for wise ways.
Yes.
Most mature people know how to go about this conversation. They're experienced in it. Our fathers are experienced in this conversation. They don't go and say, your wife told me that you are not doing well. No. I go out and I come back by 4 a.m. By 11:30 p.m., I'll come to your house. And you are not around, and I'll tell you, why are you not in the house by 11:30 p.m.? I already have a line of conversation. I have a line of conversation, and I finish you, and I tell you are doing wrong. This is the wrong way to live. And I tell you the truth. You understand? Look at the consequences of this kind of lifestyle. If you do it, your wife loses trust in you. You are spending money you don't have. It's affecting your finances. It's affecting your children. It's affecting your wife. I'll make you understand the consequences of your lifestyle. So the wise people and the older people, our fathers knew how to handle marital challenges.
Okay.
So you must understand that keeping it to yourself sometimes do not solve the problem.
Okay.
So when you've done all the bits, you understand, yes, your husband might not be very happy with you if he finds out, but you have to make him understand that you did not have a choice.
Okay.
It's better than divorcing.
Sure.
It's better than going to social media to type your family problem.
Exactly. That seems to be the no right now. That seems to be the no. Yeah. Okay.
So this marriage is like I said, is a communal thing. It's not a one man, one wife. Because when you are going to marry the woman, you did not go alone.
Okay.
You went with people, you went with a family. The reason why our culture requires you to come with a family is because they know they're not giving the wife only to you.
Okay.
They're giving the wife to a group of people.
Yeah.
And when you are not available, other people to protect their daughter. So I don't advise people to shy away totally from bringing in third parties. It's always not the first solution, but eventually when the issues are not resolved, it's a solution that we should try and take advantage of.
Okay, I get you. All right. On our time is running out. So on the last note, I want to ask a question that, based on what you talked about, everyone has a role to play. We understand that women. We understand the place of communication in love, communication with respect and honor, all that. But we understand also that, just like in a plane, for a plane to fly, we have the pilot, we have the assistant pilots, we have the co-pilots and all that. The same thing in the with the ship captain and co-captain and all that. So in a home, you rightly said that though the man is the head of the family, the woman is the neck. And as a matter of fact, the neck actually turns the head whichever way he or she wants. Now, what is the role? Because we understand that leadership is not just one person. Leadership is something that we all do together. It's a collective effort. Now, what is the role of in assisting? Is it just assistory role that she plays, or is there other role that she plays? How does she even come in leadership? Because I know it's not just a man alone who actually prefers leadership in the home. The woman has a role, and if instructions are meted out and there's nobody actually enforcing those instructions and managing the situation, obviously it's just going to be just something that is being said out there. So what role does a woman play in the leading of her home? I mean, absolutely she does not have a role to play, or she's not,
Everybody has a role to play. The man, yes, in quote, is the leader of the house.
Okay.
And the woman, the Bible said that Eve was created as a helper to others.
Okay.
The woman is the man's helper. You understand? The roles are distinct but also interrelated.
Okay, I get it. Yeah.
Distinct but also interrelated. Because the man is the leader of the house. But as a leader, you also have your council of elders that you take advice from, because you don't take decisions alone. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you might take the final decision, but you always throw it open. A leader does not boss. You lead by superior argument. I always talk it's superior argument. Madam, we need to do so and so acting. Look at my views. What is your view? The woman tells you, okay, why not do it this way? Understand? We will go through this route. Do you think it's better than your route? If it's better, I don't see the big deal about accepting your wife's solution. Okay. I don't have a problem with it. But where there is a problem is when the woman tries to, become a man.
Okay.
Understand?
Yeah.
When she wants to take charge. When you come and tell the man that, even when the man does even doesn't even carry along, because a lot of men make the mistake of not carrying their wives along, but taking
Exactly.
decisions. Even when he makes that mistake of not carrying along, there are ways of getting to know that, no, if you are doing this, what do you think? And sometimes, even when he carries you along and you now tell him, no, you see, if you have told me you would have done it this way, it would have been better. And every logical man will see that, she actually has a better situation. That is why solution. That's why I always tell women, you do not go into marriage like an off-the-shelf item. You must have a value to bring to the marriage. You must bring value to the marriage. Respect comes from value. Respect does not come from beauty. Respect comes from value. What value addition is the woman bringing to the table? What value addition does the woman bring to the table?
Okay.
Because if, like me, I find it very difficult to save money. So if I want to save money, I give it to my wife. Because that's her strength. If I have the cash, I will spend it. But if I feel I need to save money for it, please, be keeping this money for me. Because she adds that value. She adds that value. So over the time, initially it's difficult, but when you have lived together for a period of time, you should understand each other's value, each other's strengths and weaknesses. And the woman is supposed to complement the man, and the man complements the woman. But the woman should do it as a woman, not trying to be the man. The woman should be feminine. Women are soft.
Okay.
They're effeminate. They're slower. They're calmer. They're not bossy. They don't try to take charge by force and take the power. It never works. And men, sometimes we have discussions and your wives will tell you something that said, no, I do not agree. My own. You go back sometimes and you think about, this woman has a better point too. Even if you do not agree during the discussion, you go back and implement what your wife told you. Because logically, you know that her solution is a superior solution. And sometimes you do bragado and say, okay, no, I must do my way. I do your way and you fail. If you fail 2 times, you know that, I must take this woman's solution. So going by force, going by nagging, going by trying to take the power by force, going by trying to be equal to your husband never solves the problem. You must bring value to the table.
That's a value proposition.
You must bring value. Value brings respect. Even in your workplace, value brings respect. You must offer something. But these days, it's more about beauty, how I look, than more what I can contribute. And in serious discourses, you should have an opinion, a sensible opinion. You only respected when you offer value and you have a sensible opinion. So women must also understand that they must add value when they come into marriage.
Okay.
It's very, very important.
Wow. That's a lot to chew on. There's a lot that you have said that we need to go back and think about. Talk about respect. Talk about that respect comes from value, not just from beauty. You must have a sensible opinion and must be able to contribute that from a place of respect and from a place of love. Because, a man's ego is, whenever disrespect comes in, when a man is spoken to or dealt with disrespectful, it actually doesn't even set the tone for any conversation to be heard. So whatever you have to said has to be said with honor and to be said with respect. Now, you also made us understand that a leader leads by superior argument. It's not because, and doesn't have the knowledge he doesn't have all that there is. Okay, but there has to be a leader. A decision has to be made, and because a decision has to be made, so a leader makes that decision based on. That doesn't mean that the man wouldn't listen to what the woman has to say. That's the reason why a woman must be sensible and come up with sensible suggestions. That makes a lot of sense. Now, you also made us to understand that, we should be able to communicate prayerfully too. The woman should be prayerful, because it helps, to be able to, channel your frustration to a higher power that can actually deal with the situation better than you. I think that really works. So a man also should have an influence, a father figure, or somebody who is, who he can listen to, a friend, a senior colleague, mentor. So it's important that, when you choose a man who has somebody that he can listen to, somebody he can talk to, because there are really men out there who don't have that figure in their lives, and really it's a problem, because you have people say nobody can talk to me. I'm a man of my own. I'm a self-made man. I mean, you hear all that. So that also poses a problem. So, as a man, you provide leadership. Once again, leadership in three forms: spiritual leadership, financial leadership, and physical leadership. If there's any reason why you shouldn't be able to do that, it should be for a season. It's not supposed to be for a lifetime. You should get the training, get the resources, whatever it would take. There's dignity in labor. So there's no job that is too small for you to do to be able to take care of your family, because it's your primary responsibility. A woman is a helper. She's here to support. She's here to help. She's not meant to carry the burden. She's not meant to lead. She's supposed to be feminine. She's supposed to be feminine. She's supposed to be soft and not hard. A woman ought not to be bossy. So even if you feel you have a better opinion, you should be able to say that with love and say it sensibly with respect. I think there's a whole lot we have to chew. I don't know if we'll be able to communicate, but if you have any other last word, you can go ahead and shoot in the next 1 minute so that we can wrap it up.
Okay. I'm going to talk to the men.
Okay.
My closing remark will be to the men. Like I said earlier on, love is sacrifice, and then love is not love. You understand this? Misconstrued love for loss. Love is sacrifice. For God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son. For whosoever believeth in Him shall not perish but have everlasting life. So, because He loved us, He sent His Son to die for us. So, love is sacrifice. So, if you love your family, you must sacrifice for your family. If you love your wife, you must sacrifice for your wife. You must lead with love. There should be no bullying, no senseless or forceful, manipulative, support from your wife. It should be the Lord did not force us to serve Him. He gave us the option. So you must give your wife, understand, that option of serving you from a position of love. You understand? You must make her understand that morality has placed you as her leader, but you are not her boss. That you are in this boat together. You understand? To take your family, you understand, to the promised land, and you are not there to as a slave runner, you understand, or as a bully. So the men should understand that provision of financial aids to the family does not totally equate to fatherhood. You understand? They must be present to support their children. They must be interested in what goes on in their family. They must lead their family spiritually. Very important. You understand? The man is the spiritual head. It's a connection to God. You understand? You must lead your family spiritually. You must not believe that because you've provided money, you've done everything you're supposed to do. There is much more to life than money. You understand? Money is not love. Money is not respect. Money is not sacrifice. You must understand that you as a man is successful when your family is successful. Thank you very much.
Oh, that wraps it up. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing this awesome thoughts of yours with us. And it's actually the truth, and the truth liberates actually. So I don't have any other thing to add. What I have to say is that let's listen to this. Let's go back and listen, regurgitate them, meditate on them and find out where we are lacking and see how we can make the necessary adjustment. Because as long as there's life, there's room for growth. You might not have been getting getting it right, but you can always learn, you can always pick it up, and you can always put it all together. Why? Because family is the central unit. Everything we see in society is a reflection of the kind of families that we have. So when we get it right in the family, to a very large extent, the society will thrive and do better. So thank you so much for joining us. Until we come your way again with another episode and another interesting topic, we remain, we remain your go-to, podcast to listen, to get, ideas, we provide you with tips on how to better posture in your relationship and make the most of it. So until they come your way again, keep living, keep learning, keep discovering, and let us hear your thoughts. Follow us on our YouTube channel. Follow us on our Instagram channel, the Afrocentric Podcast, and let us hear your thoughts on this particular topic. And if there's any other topic you want us to trash, do well to let us know. And also, do well to buy us a coffee. Go to buy us a coffee, buymeacoffee.com, and buy us a coffee. Well, if you love what we do here, we will always want to come back with more exciting, more interesting topics that will help us, posture right in our relationship. So once again, thank you so very much for joining us. And to you, Mr. Kingsley Azubike, thank you. I really do appreciate the sacrifice. Like you said, love, leadership is sacrifice, and you've done that today for us. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So
have a lovely
a good night rest, whatever time it is over there. All right, take care. Yeah, bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Okay.